Hey, I'm Ilean Harris and I dare you to have it all. An online business that supports you, that you're incredibly proud of, and a lifestyle that inspires you. Have you ever wondered if it's actually possible to have an awesome online business? Like, hey, maybe people on social media post these really cool pictures, but behind the scenes, they're actually in a bun and yoga pants, stressed out all of the time, right? You know, you start to think, what's real? And I want to talk to you about what's real, what's possible. And look, this is real. Welcome to my home. I am so thrilled to be able to share with you something that I once thought was just a dream, was only available in the movies, 2 movie stars, the top 1% of the 1%. And honestly, one day I looked around and I was like, oh my goodness, we're alive in the best time in history. I can coach someone who's in Dubai, who's in France, who's in South America, while I'm at home, while I'm in a hotel in South Africa, while I'm traveling. And all of these things used to just be possible in my mind. Today, they're my reality. And it can be yours too. But before I tell you a little bit more about how to build an online business, I just gotta get this off my chest. I gotta tell you the truth because I want you to know exactly who I am. So here it goes, full disclosure. I almost got my aunt sent to prison one time. I know, probably not what you were expecting, you know, but it's so true. I was a little girl and you can't tell my aunt I told you this. She still wants to throw something at me for this, but it happened, you know, what are you gonna do? You gotta move on. I was a little girl and I was spending the day at my dad's house, and my dad does car interiors. He does car upholstery. So one of his clients saw me grow up. I just know a lot of people in the car industry in South Florida. And so he brings this giant box of checks, right? Obviously, this is before this big wave of identity theft and all of that. But this guy, the car dealer owner, gave me a giant box of checks and literally said, here, Ilean, go play. And I was that quiet little kid that didn't bother anyone. I just sat in a corner and read a book. That was my personality, you know, I entertained myself. You give me a good book and I am fine for hours and hours. And so I sit in the corner, and of course, being the lady boss I am, I knew exactly what to do with a check. So I start signing these checks. And so at the time, there was a soap opera where the guy in the soap opera, okay, and yes, I'm Cuban, so there's soap operas in my life, he won the lottery. And so I was signing checks with the name of the guy in the soap opera, Huicho Dominguez. And so my dad walks by and I say, hey, papi, how much do you want? So I write my dad this giant check, and of course with little kid handwriting, but hey, I could spell. I was rocking my check writing, and then other people walked in and they told me how much they wanted, and I signed a check, and people are literally standing around having a good time dreaming, holding their checks. But then comes in my aunt. My aunt had been in the United States for all of 3 or 4 days maybe. And I don't know why, I just told her, Tia, that's how you say aunt in Spanish, Tia, you won the lottery, but I threw away the envelope. And you know, obviously there's a big giant box of checks and everyone is holding a check, so I thought she'd caught on that I was just kidding. So I tell my aunt, Tia, you won the lottery, and I put so many zeros, you guys, it was insane. I really hooked her up, okay, in this game. And I gave it to her, and my aunt quietly said thank you, and I didn't think anything of it. I went back home to my mom's house and I went about my life, and suddenly I get a phone call from what I think was the FBI. I don't really remember, but it was some government agency following me, trying to track me down. And so I get the call, and now I think I'm going to prison. I've never been in trouble a day in my life. I was really so afraid to break the rules, guys. For an entrepreneur, isn't it ironic that I really didn't want to break the rules? But more on that another day. And so this guy calls me and he says, Ilean, did you write a check to, and it says my aunt's name, and I was like, I'm so sorry, yes. Do you know this man was laughing? I said, what is so funny? I give the phone to my mom, and my mom is laughing. She's crying, she's laughing so hard, and I think I'm just gonna start crying, but not because I'm laughing. So what happened was my aunt the night before took all the money my dad and my uncle gave her to start her new life in the United States, and she had gotten a visa from Cuba, and went to the casino and blew it all because she thought she had just won the lottery. Oh my gosh. Then the next day, she doesn't ask anyone for a ride. Such an independent woman, grabs her husband, figures out public transportation in Miami, and heads to the bank all by themselves to cash the check a little girl wrote in the name of Huicho Dominguez with the name of a car dealership on it. So the lady at the bank says, un momento, por favor, one moment, please. Congratulations on winning the lottery. And suddenly my aunt hears, whoo, whoo, whoo. And then hears, boom, and there's a SWAT team, and there's police everywhere, and she's looking at her husband like, are we safe in the United States of America? And little did she know, she was the one in trouble. And she was telling the officer, I did nothing wrong, I won the lottery, this check was given to me by Ilean. And I trust you that to this day, she has not been able to live it down. To this day, she is still remembering that, but that's not the point of the story. For one night, while my aunt was in the casino making it rain with the money she was supposed to use to rent an apartment, get a car, start her life here, she was dreaming. She thought it was so legit. She thought it was so real, so done, that this money in this check was really hers. So she was thinking in her head what house she was gonna buy, what car she was gonna drive, what type of clothes she was gonna wear, what type of woman she was now gonna be. Things that were just a pipe dream were now so real to her. She had no idea of the logistics. Well, a little girl wrote the check. Well, you just came from Cuba. You don't speak English. You're all alone. You have small seed money to launch your life. In that moment, her reality was without limits. Her reality was anything she wanted it to be. And for that moment, for the first time in her life, even though she thinks that I totally pranked her, which I didn't, in that moment, I truly believe I gifted her the opportunity to finally believe in herself. And you know what she did? Even after that moment that she was so embarrassed, even though she was the last one of her siblings to come to the United States, she was the first one to own her dream home. She was the first one to drive her dream car. She was the first one to travel as much as she wanted. And even though she started with a major setback due to her dreaming so big with little strategy, she still for one moment finally decided what her goals were. So now you today, you don't have to get some fake check and go to the bank and get the life scared out of you by police officers. You today don't have to be irresponsible and blow all your money in a casino in order to dream big. You simply get to decide. Why don't you make a decision just like my aunt did to decide this is what my life will look like, and then you do something about it. It's highly unlikely that you'll win the lottery. But if you put your head down and you're willing to do the work, it is very likely that you can build yourself your very own lottery, a lottery with time freedom, more memories with your family, more smiles on people's faces after you impact them with your message. Can you imagine what that would be like? If I were to write you a blank check right now, what is it that you would really dream for? Now I've learned my lesson. I don't write checks anymore after my situation with my aunt. But I will tell you this, if somebody handed you everything you wanted, would you even know what it is? Are you even daring to believe? Are you even daring to think big? Are you even daring to go for it all? Or are you just hoping to build a little side gig with an online business to give you an extra sweater here and there, you know, to spruce up the curtains in your living room? Or are you really daring to say, I want to travel to all countries in the world. I want to wear all designers that I like. I want to serve all the charities that I support. Are you really daring to want it all? Because if you don't want it all, I don't know how you're going to have it all. And I don't literally mean a storage unit with every item in the world. I mean every one of your desires. What would that look like for you? What would it be? Many times it's that simple. People haven't gotten the results they want in business because they don't even know what those results would be. And if your why doesn't make you cry, you better believe you are not going to be like me, jumping out of bed every morning without an alarm clock. When I had a job, I needed 5 alarm clocks. Now that I do what I love, I don't even need an alarm clock. I wake up even before the sun comes up, just out of pure passion and excitement for what it is that I do. Now, you and I aren't related. You're not my aunt. You haven't had some traumatizing encounter with government agencies over some huge misunderstanding, right? But you have the same opportunity she's had. You can believe. You can dare to have it all. And I'm so excited to show you how. So you want to keep watching in this video series, because I'm going to break down for you the easy and fun way so that you too can grow your business, so that you too can have the success that you desire, so that you too can finally show up for yourself and get everything that you've ever wanted. So pull out your pen and paper, take some notes, and come ready to win. I understand if you're a little skeptical. Hey, at one point I was a little skeptical, but skepticism can be solved with more information, right? Because competence increases your confidence. But if you're cynical, you're just gonna sit there with your arms crossed, and no matter what people tell you, it's never gonna work for you, then I can't help you. Because you're not gonna get results for work you didn't do. So you've gotta come in, even if you're a little skeptical, that's okay. Get rid of the cynicism, be coachable, open your mind, open your heart, and this same information will help you lead with a transformation. You have 24 hours in a day, I've got 24 hours in a day, Oprah has 24 hours in a day. Wouldn't you want to use your time better to get better results? I think so. So stay tuned, keep watching these videos, and remember, you can have it all. God bless.